Hi everyone, I have another doll customization for you, and as always I use an old doll for this. I'm not very familiar with the Monster High dolls and not sure who this is, but I really like this face, although she's very stained and dirty. I already cut her hair sometimes and I removed the factory paint with 100% acetone. Some of the stains stayed, but that's okay. As always, she will be painted over. For this project I already made the base for the most part off camera. I didn't have a nice piece of wood or something, so I glued a few layers of cardboard together, painted everything with the acrylic paint and baking soda mixture for strength, and I glued a lot of homemade flock on there in green and black. The black flowers are mostly potpourri and things from my garden that I left to dry and then painted black. All the colorful flowers are from different kinds of clay and plastic parts I painted over. Most of the flowers are from other projects I didn't use. I save almost everything. You never know if it comes in handy sometimes. In the middle of the field I glued a piece of wire, and all the flock I covered with watered down white glue, so everything is secure. So the next steps are also as usual, prepping the head and the body. So let me tell you what I'm making. It's a bit of my own plan, for as far as I have one, and something my husband came to me with. I told him about my idea to make another dark lady, like a ghost lady again, but different. So what and how? And the first thing he said, she's a dark lady in a field of flowers, making all the flowers dead. Okay. And what did you have in mind? How and what and why and where, etc., etc. But no, that was it, as far as his creativity goes. He's more creative at music making. Maybe I will put some under this video, who knows? So I liked his idea and it would combine well with mine. She would have had long fluttering clothes with pitch black hair, and she would float above all the flowers, making all the flowers behind her black as death, just as her eyes. But I didn't want a copy of my graveyard lady, although some elements would be similar. As I'm cutting her up, meanwhile, I'm thinking of the how and the what and the etceteras. Her fluttering clothes would be a second try, just as with my ghost lady, but I only had one type of transparent polymer clay left, so I hoped that one would be fine too. And maybe this time it would come out a bit better than the first time. We will see. So meanwhile, I'm smoothing all the joints on her body and trying to make a pair of ears for her with my baking soda and glue mixture. This time I didn't have the proportions quite right. She would need maybe 2 coats, but this first one is sagging all over the place. Hopefully I can sand it later or get it right with the second layer. I put all the flowers on the base off camera. Her ears I wasn't content with, but with some sanding her body was nice and smooth. Her toes needed some repositioning, just as just a tiny bit, but I had a lot of trouble gluing them on. The BS mixture was a disaster for this, and it took me a lot of tries and counting till 10 till I decided to use superglue and baking soda instead. I should have known from the start. But it does mean that it's a bit more difficult to sand. Superglue with BS gets rock hard. Oh, and did you notice? Somehow my camera is continuously busy with the amount of light or something. I don't know how to fix this. I'm filming with my mobile phone and it has a very good camera, but all of a sudden it does this. Anyone knows how I can fix this? It's a Samsung Galaxy A34 and I'm not very familiar with all the settings. I gave my girl a few layers of watered down gesso. And don't mind the ugly butt. She will get some clothes over it. Meanwhile, I figured out what to do with her eyes. I didn't want to do the same as my ghost lady, so I cut them out. And as I was very hesitant on doing that, I really liked cutting into her. So why not do the same with all the creepy markings I wanted her to have? Learned something about myself today. I love cutting into dolls. But as I was doing all that, her head got loose from the neck. I have to address that later. Her legs were a bit harder to cut. And at the fourth try I used an etching tool on my Dremel, and that worked a bit. I got a bit carried away with all the cuts, but I hoped all the clothes would tone them a bit down later. I stuffed her head with aluminum foil through her eyes so I could do the last step with my BS mixture. I let the first layer dry and put a second layer in there. I used translucent clay from Sculpting that was very old. I put it through my old pasta maker a few times so the clay would be kind of activated again and soft enough to use, I hoped. This clay was a bit more yellow than the one for my first ghost lady, but I didn't have any other, so this will have to do. I painted the inside of her eyes with my Intense pencils, but it wasn't black enough, so I switched to acrylic paint. All the markings on her face and body I also did with the Intense and the acrylic paint. Then I decided to give the whole base another layer of watered down glue because I thought some of the flowers weren't strong enough. And the same with her eyes. I put a last layer of BSM paint in there for strength. And all the markings on her face and body also got a second and maybe a third coat of paint. So, the moment I was dreading is here, trying to get some clothes on her. Polymer clay needs to bake to harden, but you can't put a doll in the oven as far as I know. I don't want to try that, but if they don't melt, please let me know. But instead I covered my girl in aluminium foil, tin foil, okay, and tried to make something nice for her. Cutting all the strips was a mistake. I liked all the rough edges, but well, I tried to fix it in the end. I don't show everything, but it was a mess. The clay was brittle, it tore all the time. The first bake also broke into little pieces. I put the clay through the pasta maker multiple times again and to knead it a bit better. But when everything was baked, I was almost happy with everything and I glued all in place with superglue. I don't know where to hold her safely. All is still very brittle and fragile. Maybe the clay isn't good enough anymore, or I baked it wrong? I'm not sure. I made a stand for all my girls from an old candlestick and cardboard. Now I could do her hair easier. I used real animal hair for this. I think I will give my first ghost lady a hair makeover one day with the white hair. I got it from a dear friend of mine who cleared out of all her hobby supplies a few months ago. I love this hair so much, although I will never have bought it myself really. But I have it now and I will use it until it's used up. And although I really loved her hair just like it was, hiding her face and all, that wasn't the plan. Her eyes needed to be visible. So I fixed her hair, not too much, just a bit. And I made a second doll holder. This one is much lower, much easier to work on. I gave her some fluttering sleeves so I could potentially, oh my God, hide her arms and hands if I sculpted it poorly. This doll came without them, and I have a few of those dolls, still wondering what else I could make of them. But I'm not sure how to make tiny hands yet, and with what materials. I don't have the epoxy sculpt or whatever it needs to make that and be firm and secure. Air dry clay or my homemade clay isn't suitable for such tiny things, I think. I wrapped my girl in tinfoil to spray her hair with normal ordinary hairspray, but the dress got damaged. I glued her in place with hot glue. This glue cools down so slowly, it took a while. And I had to secure the wires some more with super glue and baking soda. It wasn't stable enough. But after this, she's finished. I wanted her clothes to flutter more, but overall I'm very happy with how everything came together. She really looks like a sad dark ghost lady who kills everything behind her. The title is a line from one of my favorite songs from The Gathering, Black Light District it's called. I found was very suiting for this project. But what do you think of my second ghost lady? I would love to read all your comments and thoughts. I'm lucky to have such great followers who give me such great compliments. Thanks so much for that. It does a girl good. Or more an old lady by now, though. But I hope to see you at my next project.